And now we're moving to our customer stories from the front line of the digital workplace, featuring some amazing LiveTiles customers, and moderated by the host and producer of the Intelligent Workplace podcast, Chris Lukianenko, who will introduce the panels and run the session. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Paul, and welcome everybody to the Customer Conversation, part of our session today. I'm actually really excited about being given the chance to share these stories with you today because storytelling is something that I'm pretty passionate about. Whether that be via the new customer stories pages that we've got launched on our website just recently, or via the Intelligent Workplace podcast, which I'm sure all of you subscribe and listen to regularly on its fortnightly episodes. If you don't, it's available on all good podcast services, and a bit of a plug there for me. Look, the power of a great story it cannot be denied, and we've been doing it for thousands of years. And in these times when we're so far apart, stories, I feel like they just bring us back together. So why don't we just get into it? Today is all about sharing the stories from our customers in the hope that maybe some of you out there might get some great ideas on how you might be able to improve your digital workplaces even further. So let me introduce my guests for you today. First up, from Flinders University in South Australia, we have Luke Havelberg, Associate Director, Planning and Analytical Services. Give us a bit of a wave there, Luke.
G'day, Chris. Good to be here.
Great to have you, mate. And joining him is Anthony Paterson, the Capital Program Lead. How are you, mate?
Hi, team. Good, mate.
Welcome aboard, guys. Do you want to give us a quick bit of background about your company?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Flinders University, we were founded in 1966 and we're based in Adelaide, South Australia, so one of three universities in Adelaide. Plenty of students on campus here at the moment with us, Chris. So it's good to see, which is a bit different to campuses across Melbourne at the moment. So we've got about 25,000 students spread across 6 colleges. We have a real focus research-wise on medicine, public health. And interestingly, we have a Flinders University scientist that people may have seen on the news that's leading human trials of the vaccine for COVID at the moment. So we're hoping that that's going to go well and Flinders can help lead the way to find a vaccine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. And next up, all the way from Sri Lanka, I'd like to welcome Ahmed Javed, Head of Marketing and Communications for a global supply chain company by the name of Expolanka. Welcome, Ahmed, and why don't you tell us a bit about your company, mate?
Hi, Chris. So EFL is a global supply chain solutions company. We have about 60 plus offices globally. We work with brands mainly in fashion, retail, tech, and now more recently with the crisis, pharmaceutical and medical equipment. We've seen a big change in the industry because, while everything has been in lockdown and things have stopped, supply chains have continued to keep moving. So it's been keeping us busy, in the last couple of months. And I think one of the reasons the company has been very successful so far is because we've worked in limited infrastructure markets that run on traditional systems and processes, and then we've been able to integrate into our modern tech solutions to sort of give the customers the visibility they need to stay informed.
I had a chat with Ahmed just a couple of weeks ago that comes out on the Intelligent Workplace podcast next week, I think it is. So he's fascinating, and the global supply chain company that he works for is just amazing. So have a look out for that. So looking forward to hearing his thoughts a little bit later on. And finally, we have one of our own. We have Molly Steer. You might recognise her face from the Microsoft Teams tips and tricks videos that we published a few months ago. She is actually now internet famous, having been recognised in the streets of Hobart just last week. Her series of videos have been viewed over 52,000 times. So well done, Molly. That's absolutely amazing. She's not only our resident YouTube star. I'm sure many of you in this session have come across Molly during your interactions with LiveTiles, as she's one of our customer success champions in the APAC region. Welcome aboard, Molly. Give us a wave.
Hi.
You're ready to go today because you are my link between everything here today, because you deal with so many different customers on so many projects and you've seen so many things. So I'm hoping you can share some great information here today, Molly.
Definitely, for sure.
Ready to rock and roll. I actually work with Molly in the Hobart office and she is absolutely fantastic. Now, look, everybody has introduced themselves, so let's get into the stories. And what I want to focus on today is not the tech itself. What I want to do is explore the way that our customers have interpreted our tech and they've used it to solve problems or maybe address customer needs or potentially push the boundaries within their companies. The first thing I want to talk about is communication. We all know the importance of staying in touch with employees and customers. And look, the pandemic has only further highlighted the importance of staying in touch with each other as we all work from our homes. As you can see, I'm at mine today. I'm going to bring in Ahmed here to tell us about the challenges that Expolanka were facing with a globally dispersed workforce and how they're now beginning a journey to address their communication. So, Ahmed, first up, Expolanka, a massive company. Can you just describe the workforce for us in terms of maybe where they are, who they are, how they operate, the job roles and that sort of thing?
So our network currently covers 23 countries and includes 60 plus offices representing about 25 nationalities. Our workforce is about 2,500 people. We have a heavy presence in the Far East and the subcontinent, which are known for being traditionally sourcing markets and now we've just sort of established our presence in Europe, and we've really expanded in the States in the last 3 years. So, the business works in a few ways. So, when you talk about common roles, you talk about people in the business. So an export for one market is essentially an import for another market. And while you're still handling it in the same company, it requires a completely different set of rules and regulations. You could have one piece, a few pieces of paper on one side and another stack of files on the other. That's because global trade is, it's something that's evolving, right? It's subject to so many disruptions like political instability, changing regulations, and even weather, right? And it's very, very critical to be able to contact the man or woman on the ground, right? Because when you're working with the large brands, it's about what you know about what's going on in the market, right? And being able to sort of give them the insight and then being able to plan their business with them. So it's really, really important. While there are common rules, it's dependent on the market and the regulations.
Was there an epiphany moment for your senior management team where you potentially realised that because of the complexity of your business, there was a bit of a communication problem within it?
Yeah, so we've been having conversations around this, right? And we've been streamlining our process for the ongoing shipments. It's about the potential disruptions and forward planning that, we've been trying to really do better. Think of it this way, right? You've got word that part of an airport is going to be closed down for the next 2 days due to repairs on the main runway. And you've got a warehouse full of customer cargo lined up to be loaded over the next 48 hours, right? Not a pretty situation to be in. At that point, you need to know whom you want to contact in your local office and make sure that they find a solution to help you maintain that confidence with the customer. So, look, in supply chain, we usually say if everything that can go wrong will go wrong, right? And then, you have to be able to sort of work with people. And again, it's different nationalities, different cultures, different timings. It's very, very important to sort of have that integrated network. And that's something that's very crucial for us as a business.
It just sounds so complex. Were there any other sort of roadblocks that you were facing at the time?
Yeah, so usually, with contact information and employee data, it's usually an administration or HR role, right? And what we really want to do was we wanted the people data to be a lot more effective, beyond just for record purposes, right? So we have a huge front-end team in the US, which is constantly in touch with customers and keeping them up to date of what's going on in the logistics market. The only reason they're able to do that is because they have very good connections with people on ground. Yep. And I think that's what comes in, and especially when you have COVID, when you have holidays coming up, when you have peak season coming up, it's all about, pre-planning. It's all about sort of predicting what the market's going to be like, how much space can you secure. That's why it's very, very crucial for us, to sort of have that visibility within the teams.
Mate, you are making my head spin with all this information. It's so complex. But look, your people data was your initial problem that you looked to solve, because you had to get that foundation set, improve the accuracy of your people data, because they are everywhere and it's very complex, as we've said. You had to do that first before you could even dream of doing anything in terms of your digital workplace. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely.
Get it all in order. So, throw it over to the Flinders guys very quickly. This is not something that's unique to Expolanka. I think you guys know a little bit about needing to get your data in order before you can begin your project, don't you?
Look, Chris, show me any business that doesn't need to get some of their data in order. So I think it's a global problem that every business faces. Look, the approach we take at Flinders is it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yep.
We see it as it's a one-way door. There's no turning back. So you need to get on top of your data quality, your data governance and management. Sort of our mantra is we treat data like we would treat money. So we hold them in the same esteem and we make sure we try and manage them appropriately.
Yeah, fair enough. Molly, from what you've seen, is this a common theme amongst the customers that you work with?
Oh, such a common theme. As Luke said, it is really a universal problem. I've definitely found that one of the most valuable pieces of information organizations can have has to do with knowing their people. And Ahmed, you would have run into this problem tons of times with how dispersed your workforce is, but knowing your people, having data about them just helps you not only with culture, but getting the right information to the right people efficiently and effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, listening to Ahmed talk about his global workforce and looking to know them all better, I'm thinking that would make a great test case for LiveTiles Vibe, don't you think, Molly?
Definitely. Actually, I've been working with a couple of customers already, and Ahmed and EFL are already an early adopter of LiveTiles Vibe.
Brilliant. We didn't plan that bit at all. But I don't want to steal Vanessa's thunder because she's actually going to have a chat about LiveTiles Vibe a little bit later on. So I'll let her explain that to you all. So Ahmed, back to you, mate. We mentioned this is going to be a staged process for you. So LiveTiles Directory is kind of the starting its work for you right now. And when I say starting its work, it kind of is going to, because once you've got that thing fully configured, the bot will do all the work for you in doing this tidy up, won't it?
Yeah, it will. So essentially, we're going to be crowdsourcing the management of individual data, right? And having triggers to allow us to maintain the integrity of that data. Usually, it's a very cumbersome exercise, which you do manually, or you have someone following up. And so, I'm really looking forward to the time-saving aspect and also being able to have that correct information across the network.
We have that at LiveTiles. We call our bot Zed, and we get an email from him every now and then. Have you named your LiveTiles directory bot yet?
It's part of the brainstorming exercise. That's one of the other things we are working on right now.
Fair enough. And look, all of this is so that you can start work on your stage 2 of your overall project. This is pretty exciting stuff. Can you tell us a bit about the big idea you have for wanting to leverage LiveTiles reach?
Yeah, so for me, it feels part of a natural progression, right? With directory, you're able to align the interests of individuals across continents, since it allows for data to be shared and captured, right? From a point of view of unifying a global team, right, or global workforce, it sort of gives us a chance to get to know the personal side of everyone. Because one of the things that I've seen with directory is being able to share interests and, activities and stuff that you like to sort of have. And then that'll sort of give us, a little bit more of an edge to sort of build more common connections and better relationships. So one of the ideas is to crowdsource content. We're looking at launching an initiative, where we invite any wannabe authors, writers, bloggers on our network and give them a platform to sort of reach out to the global family. The way it's going to work is, if anyone who's interested, it gives them an opportunity to test their content or even discuss things on their mind and get immediate feedback from the rest of the team. Think about it. Over the last few months, most of us have experienced some feeling of isolation or distancing, right? So it's increasingly important, I think, for companies to be aware of this and create platforms for conversations. What I really also like about Reach is his ability to customize news and information based on the audience. And when you have over 20 nationalities across the company, that's a huge plus because information is translated to give it that local feeling. Most content today is being consumed via mobile. And so people, another thing is people do have a sense of missing that office chatter because they're not going into office. So I think, tools like Reach is sort of bridge that missing element and allow people to sort of stay a little bit more closer. So again, all in all, very exciting times for us up ahead.
Mate, it sounds absolutely fantastic. Flinders Uni guys, I'm just wondering, do you think there might be an application for something similar for LiveTiles Reach within the higher education sector, perhaps with students?
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. I think particularly, with the COVID virus obviously hitting, all of a sudden, all of our students who were on site, and not many of them did online learning, all of a sudden were off-site and no one was here. And so quickly there was a scramble around, okay, how do we communicate effectively with our students? How do they communicate with each other and work through their tasks and processes and also communicate with their lecturer? So there's a great opportunity there, I think, for something like Reach to dive in there and come up with a great solution.
Yeah, nice. It's funny sometimes we take for granted, that simple act of communicating with our colleagues, but I don't think we realise how much a part of the company's culture that the communication channels are. I love what Ahmed's thinking about here with how he can add some further voices into his culture in that way. I think it's fantastic. Look, Molly, Reach is only a pretty new part of the LiveTiles family. Are you seeing customers finding some interesting ways to utilise it even this early on?
Oh, definitely. So starting off working with customers, there was a lot of sort of using it as just a straight news platform, but especially with the sort of shock of COVID and everyone suddenly being remote and having to find other ways to communicate. I've seen some really creative use cases of Reach, especially with the sort of, collaboration between everyone in the business. It's been really cool.
Yeah, we know internally at LiveTiles we've been doing it with our different locations around the globe. It's great. Let's switch approach for a minute and change our focus to talk about data. And we all know that when you can bring it all together in a useful format for your staff, it just opens up a whole new world of insights, which you can base important decisions on. I'm going to bring the Flinders University guys in now because they had to do a bit of data cleanup before they embarked on their project to democratise their data as well. Guys, what was the motivating factor for you when you embarked on this pretty awesome project to revolutionise the way that you shared your data sets and the associated insights with your staff?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I started with the university in late 2018. My background is financial services, so don't hold that against me. So it's a fairly mature industry around data and analytics, but coming to the university, very diverse ecosystem around users particularly. So you've got a whole bell curve of people that understand technology to those that are very basic users. So what we did is we spent a fair bit of time in the start of 2019 sort of workshopping, almost going through a semi-design thinking type process just to identify pain points, opportunities. We started to uncover some themes around just information being everywhere, not being confident in what the information sources were, and just having to go to too many different spots for the information.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to do is just find something simple, intuitive, centralised, self-service proposition that we could work with. And that's really where we started to look at and LiveTiles, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But ultimately for us, it was trying to get that centralised, simple use case that people could use for data-driven decisions and just get a consistency of conversation and decision-making across the university as best we could.
Yeah. So you had all this data in different data stores. You guys pretty much just need to join the dots for the users and then present it back to them in some kind of way to help with the decision-making process. That's in a nutshell?
Yeah, Chris, that's look, it's a simplistic way to put it,
yeah.
But absolutely. But it was just making sure everyone's talking from the same page. So making sure that we're looking at the same data sources, then analysing in a consistent way and then bringing it through to the key decision makers in the university in a way that they could view consistently, had confidence in what they were looking at. And then the conversation moved away from the consistency and the accuracy of the data to actually what is it telling us, give us more insight, what can we do with this?
Yep, for sure. So what was the overall solution that you guys dreamed up then?
Yeah, so I'll jump in on that one, Chris. Look, I'll give you a bit of a background into the solution. So our current on-prem analytics solution probably wasn't where it needed to be for what our requirements were and the data-hungry stakeholders we had. So we gave that a bit of a review and we decided that quite a brave decision to move from a non-Microsoft on-prem to a Microsoft cloud analytics ecosystem. So, we were starting to use tools like Data Factory, Azure Function, Databricks, all these great data tools. Then to serve out our data, we thought, well, hey, let's use this Power Platform and Power BI. But really quickly, we realized that, look, we've got a bunch of insights that don't always make it into Power BI. So how do we deliver a seamless self-service style customer experience to our stakeholders without making them go to Power BI, Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint, 100 emails? So we spent some time investigating those options, and one of those options being LiveTiles Designer.
Yep.
And when we're looking at LiveTiles Designer, we're currently going through quite a bit of change in our team as well to move to Agile and this new Microsoft space. So we thought, well, we can't ask the team to now go and learn code around HTML and JavaScript and building websites. So that was a big major player as well in it. And we wanted to go over this configuration of a code paradigm. And thankfully for us, LiveTiles Designer was hitting the mark on all fronts. It was providing great out-of-the-box functionality, but yet flexible enough that we could build something really rich. So we spent a bit of time going through iterations of design to build out these templates, and LiveTiles Design allows you to save those so you can reuse them over and over. So it was a really fast and agile journey. And we ended up with a fantastic intelligence portal. We affectionately call it Flip, or the Flipper. It's the Flinders Intelligence portal. And, that's our self-service interface, single point of contact for our customers to get our analytics. And those analytics are in embedded Power BI, it's in Word documents, PDF, They've got their own personalised pages because LiveTiles Designer integrates so tightly with Office 365 and SharePoint and OneDrive and all those things. They are really important to us to leverage our licensing. So we ended up with this great portal.
Yeah, no, it sounds awesome. I know a bit about your story. I've read a bit about it, and I think one of the great stories to emerge from us working together was when one of the senior members of your team was doing a little bit of weekend work and had this kind of like an epiphany moment. And I just want you to tell that story if you can.
Yeah, sure. So I guess it's a funny story, and I guess it complements the rapid turnaround time that LiveTiles Designer provides us. So obviously with the virus, we're working from home, and I was working from home. And late on a Monday afternoon, Luke would call me up, and he said, Pato, as he affectionately calls me, I've got probably the most senior leader in the university, and I need a secure, easy to use, personalized page, sharing insights, PDFs, secure Yammer chats. Oh, and I need you to allow somewhere in there where someone else has shared a document to that person so they can access it. Oh, and I need it by Friday. Okay. So we spent some time having a look and having a play. And, thankfully, with the rapid prototyping and using the out-of-box functionality and some of those saved templates and tiles we used, very quickly in a day or two, I was able to come up with the concept, and Luke reviewed it. And, Thursday afternoon, Friday morning, it was ready to go for that person. So, in under a week, we went from nothing to something quite amazing that particular leader loves. And, it really lends itself to how easy LiveTiles Designer is to use. So we've got business analysts in our team, and they have no technical experience. And now using these pre-configured tiles and templates that we've set up in LiveTiles Designer, they're now one of our main web page, if you like, designers and developers, and they're producing these things weekly. And that's amazing for someone who just has no technical skill at all. So it was a funny story.
It's unreal. We can't see Simon Tyrrell's face on camera right now, but somewhere there he is smiling like a Cheshire cat saying, I told you so, it's so easy to do it with. He'd be loving that. But that's absolutely the beauty of Page Designer, really. So what kind of flow on improvements have you seen from your introduction of these dashboards and pages and the like?
Yeah, Chris, I'll take that one up, and I'll just add to what Anthony said. So once one person on our executive got their own personalised page, very quickly it was the second, third, fourth and fifth. So I think we've got 6 executive members for their own nicely curated page that we turned around really quickly for them as well. So, great flexibility for us. The point that Anthony made around the capability of personnel to manage the product, I suppose as a leader of the team, that's really important. I don't need to go to market for a LiveTiles specialist or a designer or to pay up for those type of resources. We just work with people in the team that have the right mindset, have the right outlook, and that's who we work with to become a designer. We find that really important for us. But if I talk about letting the information out in the way that we've done so through LiveTiles, through Power BI, I sort of see 2 behaviours that tend to develop over time. One is you're showing them a lot more information. So they start to challenge the information a bit more because they're starting to see stories that may not line up with their own narrative because the information just hasn't been as transparent before. So we spend a bit of time just deep diving into assumptions, drivers of information, which is good. It's about building confidence of the information we're providing. Second one is then you move to that thirst for more sophisticated information and insights. And what that starts to do then is we see an increase in the velocity of decision making. So they get confidence in the data, they start to get more and more insights, and they start to target their requests to us as well. We provide that information, and what we start to do is we just move through decision-making in a much quicker process. And for us over the last 5 or 6 months, that's been really critical in how we responded to COVID. And as most people would understand, there's been various impacts to the higher ed industry in different ways, but Flinders particularly has been able to manage through that pretty well. And part of that is our ability to actually use data to respond to what we're seeing around enrolments, the student experience, etc. So for us, it's been really good.
So if I wrap that all up in one sentence, it sounds like LiveTiles is helping you get shit done, which is one of our company values.
Absolutely. Look, we'd like to take that one on board, Chris, as well, but maybe not as progressive as your company to.
Yeah, might not fly in your sector. No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Look, I mentioned earlier that Molly gets to work with a whole bunch of great customers in this region. And just recently, she's been working with a couple of customers and supporting them as they implemented Microsoft Teams, which is a pretty new service for us here at LiveTiles. So I thought it would be great for her to share what she's learned after going through the process with them. So, Molly, first up, what kind of challenges have some of your customers been facing with Teams?
Well, look, this really came about as a response to everyone being remote all of a sudden because of COVID. So all of a sudden we had entire companies that are working from home. Some of them had never used Teams before. So along with doing their daily activities that they need to keep doing throughout this sort of lockdown and social distancing, they also need to onboard to a completely new platform that a lot of people initially see as just sort of a chat service. So it's been really interesting sort of walking them through that process and building it up to be this actual collaboration platform.
So it wasn't just about onboarding new users that didn't know how to use the service, was it?
No, not at all. So we had that as part of it. We've been running some like training sessions, but it's really about showing people to think critically and creatively about their use of Teams and what that can actually help them do in their work days.
So were there many customers that looking at Teams more as a way to integrate the different elements of their digital workplace? Yeah,
definitely. And that's something that we very actively encourage. A lot of people set up Teams for sort of a specific purpose, and you can integrate so many different platforms in there. Reach, in particular, can be surfaced through Teams. So you've got all these different things within this sort of universal touch point.
Yeah, it's funny, as an internet service provider sort of thing, a lot of people talk to me about, why are you talking about Teams so much? Isn't it going to replace what you're doing? And we're like, oh, no, because, there's so many things that we can integrate with Teams and add to that piece of software. We've got LiveTiles everywhere that really integrates nicely into Teams now. And I don't want to steal Simon's thunder, but he's going to go through that in a minute. But let's switch over now the fact that you are an international YouTube sensation. Have any of the clients been asking for a little bit more video content from you?
Yeah, definitely. That's something we've done as part of our team support services as well. We've made a couple of custom videos for organisations to help them get their really specific needs met. It's been really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Ahmed, Nick, Anthony, have any of you used short form video in your organisations to deliver messages?
Yeah, we have. So one of the things with COVID was also to do return to workplace guidelines, because, in different parts of the world, we had different offices opening up or people coming back into work and all that. And again, then, you start looking at what's the best distribution medium. So Molly, I think I'm definitely going to be connecting with you at some point to see, how we can sort of move along on that.
She loves making videos. She loves it.
Good stuff.
Flinders, guys, anything from you?
Yeah, Chris, we use video a fair bit on our self-service portal. So we like to use really short, punchy videos. I think, I'm on the homepage doing a bit of an intro and overview of Flip, but just for quick, punchy sessions around, tips for Power BI or tips for self-servicing data. We just find they're easy to engage with. They're mobile-friendly, and you just need to do it once, and it's always there for people. So what we're doing is we're actually building up a library of training videos on Flip, so people can go there and we can refer people there rather than, I suppose, using our time all the time for simple questions. They can self-serve those videos, and we keep building out that catalogue.
I can see my global marketing director, Nick Ramica, right now just nodding his head and smiling because we're along the exact same lines. I feel like the idea of short-form video is sort of just part of a bigger conversation, which is actually more about creating engaging content, and it's not always easy. If I could see the faces of the corporate communicators that are online here today in this audience, I think I'd see a lot of people nodding because it actually is a real challenge. And look, we've been talking about LiveTiles Reach a bit here and how it allows you to get your content in front of more people, and delivering short-form video is actually really easy with that. But what I wanted to do is just tease an even more exciting feature, and Carl kind of alluded to this in the start, in his opening words there, and it's going to really excite the corporate communicators out there, I believe. We're just in the final stages now of testing the integration of Canva with LiveTiles Reach. So if you don't know Canva, It's an online design piece of software for creating, web graphics and that sort of thing. So not only now can those of us that create content now get our content in front of more people, we can make it more engaging, bringing in the short form video, and now we can create amazing graphics, and all from within the LiveTiles Reach editor. And I think if Simon doesn't show you that today in his demo, we'll be sharing a link to show you how that works, because it is absolutely amazing. Molly, this is very much hot off the press for us here. So we haven't shared this with Ahmed, but I'm thinking that this might be a great little addition to his project. Do you reckon?
Definitely. I think especially the way that you're wanting to use Reach with getting sort of everyone involved and creating content, It'll be a great creative tool for sure.
I can see Ahmed creating beautiful web graphics with lots of glows and drop shadows and all that sort of stuff. I think he'll be great at it.
I've got a team of designers, and 2 of them are actually already on Canva. And I tell you now, if I tell them that there's an integration coming forward, they're going to be very, very excited, because this is the way to go, right? I mean, we're using so many platforms, we're talking about so many different channels. It's about being able to just bring everything together and still being able to do your work. So definitely, very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that sadly brings us to the end of our customer conversation today. I've thoroughly enjoyed having all my guests online today. As I said, there's some great stories out there which we love to share with all of you, the rest of our customer base. So, thanks a lot to my guests today, Luke Havelberg and Anthony Paterson from Flinders University, Ahmed Javed from Expolanka, and our very own YouTube sensation and customer success champion, Molly Steer. Thank you very much for your time today. And if I can just ask you to maybe have a look out for the Intelligent Workplace podcast on your favourite podcast service. Like, subscribe, rate and review. That would be fantastic. Back to you, Paul Cornelia, in the central commentary position.